Can you hear me okay? Yeah. It is 7 o'clock, and we have 50 people here. Hang on just a second. I think everyone's aware the quorum has changed this year. So we can get going. If everyone could seat, stop your talking, we'll get rolling. And I actually asked you to have a seat, but before we start, we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Let's stand up and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the Thank you. Hello, hello.
Hello. Check one. Okay. No, they're all on. Try this one.
Hello. All right. For Essex County, to Jeffrey T. Gillen, Chief of Police of the Town of Groveland in the County of Essex. Greetings. In the name of the Commonwealth, you are hereby required to notify and warn the inhabitants of said town who are qualified to vote in the annual town meeting to meet at the Dr. Elmer S. Bagnell School, 253 School Street, Groveland, Mass. On Monday, June 22nd, 2020, at 7 o'clock p.m. to act upon or to take any other action relative thereto on the following articles. And also, for those who are qualified to vote in the annual town election, which met last Monday, June 15th, 2020, between the hours of 12 and 8 p.m., which calls for the election of town officials, which we held last week.
Thank you. I've been doing this for a few years now. Can you guys hear me? It sounds to me like a dog.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, hello. Okay. I've been doing this for a few years now. I think it might be 4 years. And I usually make one or two mistakes, okay? This year I can blame it on the coronavirus, but one thing we should do is I'd like everyone to introduce themselves. We have a bunch of people seated at the tables first, and then we're gonna carry on. So if we can start here, we'll work our way across and down to the bottom.
Jim Scanlon, Finance Board Chairman.
I'm Ruth Rivard. I'm the Secretary of the Finance Board.
Bill Hewitt, Town Council.
Denise Demkowski, Finance Director.
Michael Wood, Board of Selectmen.
Jason Ames, Board of Selectmen. Bill O'Neill, Board of Selectmen.
Kathy Castronellis, Board of Selectmen.
All right, thank you. And just one other thing before we get going, we have a few people who are going to be moving on from us here, leaving our humble town. Get the town clerk back on.
Thank you. I'd just like to bring to your attention some personnel changes in the town of Groveland. Pat Rogers Pat Rogers of the Water Department will retire in August after 34 years of service. I would like to thank her for her years of service. Deb Webster of the Assessor's Office, who has worn many different hats over the years, will also retire later this summer after 34 years of service. And Denise Dimkowski, our Finance Director, is taking a new position after 6.5 years. Groveland has been very fortunate to have such hardworking, dedicated, knowledgeable, and thoughtful employees who really do look out for the best interests of our residents. Their knowledge of history of Groveland is irreplaceable. Their compassion for the residents shows in every decision that they have made. Groveland is strong financially due to the hard work, skills, and commitment of each of these individuals and the departments they run. As a new member of the Town Hall, I have been fortunate to work with these ladies. I am grateful for that opportunity. I arrived with many questions, and I cannot express my personal thanks for all of their assistance that I've received. Please join me wishing Pat, Deb, and Denise well in their next adventure. They are truly wonderful people, and they will be greatly missed.
All right. I didn't say, but thank you to everyone for coming tonight. I know we live in some difficult times, but things still need to happen. And again, I think I see a lot of familiar faces in here, but my rules as far as moderator, if there needs to be discussion that people have, that you want to say something, I don't have a clock here. I'm not going to shut you up. As long as you're saying something that's new and relevant. If you're repeating what's already been said, then we need to quiet that down. So it's worked pretty well so far. I like, if people have things they want to say, I want to hear it. So let's get going. Article 1. To see if the town will vote to authorize the selectmen to petition the state for any sum available under provisions of Chapter 90, said funds be apportioned and expended by and under the direction of the State Department of Public Works, Mass Highway Department, in accordance with said statutes, or take any other action relative thereto. The Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. The Finance Board recommends favorable action. Do we have a motion? In a second? All right, motion is second for favorable action. Do we have discussion? All right. Seeing nobody wants to speak on this, we'll take a vote. All in favor of Article 1, say aye. Opposed, say no. It is unanimous. And for up here, you guys, somebody just fire off motion for favorable and second, just so we can keep moving. Okay. Article 2, see if the town will vote to transfer from available funds the amount of $219,545 and appropriate said sum for Chapter 90 approved road work, said amount to be used pending reimbursement by the state, with such work to be done under the supervision of the highway superintendent, or take any other action relative thereto. Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. Finance Board recommends favorable action. We have a motion, a second for favorable action. Any discussion? All right, we'll take a vote. All in favor of Article 2, say aye. Opposed, say no. It is unanimous. Article 3, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $900 for the purpose of providing this amount to the William R. Dewhurst Jr. Post 7366, Veterans of the United States, Groveland, Mass. to pay for the heat, electricity, and maintaining its meeting place and any expenses to support this request in fiscal 2021, or take any other action relative thereto. Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. Finance Board recommends favorable action. We have a motion, a second for favorable action. Any discussion? We'll take a vote. All in favor of Article 3, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. It is unanimous. Article 4, to see if the town will vote to accept as a public way Homestead Lane as it has been laid out by the Board of Selectmen in the manner depicted on the plan entitled Acceptance Plan Roadway Layout located in Groveland, Massachusetts, prepared for DeHulu Homes, 36 Benjamin Street, Groveland, Mass. 01834, dated October 28, 2018, prepared by William G. Holtz, PLS, and to authorize the Board of Selectmen to acquire by gift, purchase, or eminent domain such interest in land as are necessary to provide for the use and maintenance of said way for all purposes for which public ways are used in the town of Groveland, or take any other action relative thereto. This article requires a 2/3 majority. The Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. The Planning Board recommends favorable action. We have a motion and a second for favorable action. Is there any discussion? All right, we'll take a vote. All in favor of Article 4, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. It is unanimous. And I apologize, I just noticed that our state rep, Lenny Meyer, is standing in the back there. Lenny wanted to welcome you here. I don't see, it's Bruce isn't here, is he? No, okay. All right. Article 5. To see if the, is that a motion to suspend the reading? Second, okay. All in favor of suspending the reading of Article 5, say aye. Opposed, say no. Okay, so the Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action on this article. It says this article would allow the town to enter in a lease agreement with National Grid for the community trail. Do we want 45 seconds or so to read this yourselves? Or do we just want to vote? I don't know if they have to. Does the Finance Committee want to say something about this?
Wasn't a financial matter.
Did we have a motion? We don't have a motion yet. Okay, so does somebody want to make a motion for this? In a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Again, this requires a 2/3 vote. All in favor of Article 5, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. It's unanimous. Article 6, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to petition, and this is a long one, isn't it? What are we doing here? We have a motion to suspend the reading. We have a second. All in favor of suspending the reading, say aye. Opposed, say no. All right, so I don't think we can just vote this, but let's just carry on for a second. So the article is submitted by the Board of Selectmen. The Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. The Finance Board recommends favorable action. Do we have a motion? We have a motion. Do we have a second? So we have a motion and a second for favorable action. Does somebody want to just give us a brief explanation of what this is and what it will do? Is that something we can do? Yeah, okay. Hold the button down. Push the...
Can you hear me? That's all right, no worries. Hi, I'm Kathy Castronels, Board of Selectmen. So you heard about all of our retirements, and one of them being our long worker Deb Webster in the Board of Assessors. And in consultation with the Board of Assessors and the Board of Selectmen, we are just including the person that will be hired as the manager of the assessor office in the financial department. So they'll actually be within a department where there'll be staff they can go to with questions and get answers. So they won't be all by themselves. And so assessing is related to financing but separate. And this was just a very small move in our town government, just to include them within our financial department. Very simple. Any questions? Okay, good. Who's Mike?
And when you speak to, I'm sorry, when you step to the mic, just state your name.
Oh. We have like one communal mic and one corporate mic. Okay.
Okay. Debbie Webster, 45 Wood Street, also on the work in the assessor's office. Whether you agree with this change or not, I feel this is an inappropriate time to do it, given the circumstances that we are in. This is not just incorporating the Board of Assessors into the finance. It's a total change in the way the finance department is run. Over the years, we have talked about a town manager, talked about doing things on a different platform. And like I said, whether you're for it or against it, I'm not advocating one way or the other. All as I'm advocating for is we got a reduced quorum. There's a lot of people that have a lot of interest in this that might have felt uncomfortable coming to town meeting and participating. So I just think it's underserving or being very irresponsible of the town to make a major change in Articles 6 and 7 without having full input from the town. This does not go to the ballot. This is not a 2/3. This is a simple majority. And with a limited quorum, we have 20% of our quorum sitting in the front. So I'm just, like I said, whether you're for it, against it, personally, rolling the assessor's office into finance, I'm not personally against. I think it's probably a good idea. But that's not all this article does. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Questions? All right. We're going to take a vote. We do? Oh, no. Okay. All in favor of Article 6, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. No. All right, one more time. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. No. All right. It's too close for my ears to. So we're gonna count. We have two counters. Or do we need? Usually we have a couple, but are we gonna split kind of down the middle? Is that? All right. So all in favor, raise your hand and hold it up until one of the counters points at you, and then you can put it down.
Yeah.
All opposed, raise your hand and keep it up until you're counted.
Okay.
In favor 26, opposed 37, does not pass. Article 7. Again, if somebody wants to make a motion, dispense with the reading, we can talk about it.
Motion to suspend. Move to dispense with the
Second.
Second.
All in favor, dispense with the reading, say aye. Opposed, say no. Thought there might be some sick people out there who want to see me read 3 pages, but no. Okay, so just hang on for a moment so we get to the end here. And Article 7, this would consolidate all financial departments under one department, allowing for cross-training more to streamline services and overall financial oversight. The Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. The Finance Board recommends favorable action. Do we have a motion? We have a motion for favorable action. Do we have a second? All right, discussion. Again, if somebody could, I see this is kind of hand in hand with the other, but if somebody wants to explain a little more about this, I think the audience might appreciate it.
This is the bylaw Article 6 is special legislation of.
So if the other one has it,
Yeah, we don't need this. We don't need
But
it.
it's just the bylaw.
Yeah, we already voted.
Two articles.
so I don't know if anybody hear that, but Article 6 was for the legislation. This is for the bylaw. They need both parts, I guess, to
So,
make things happen. Go ahead, Debbie.
move to take.
Into the microphone.
Debbie Webster again, again for the same reason, not that I'm against us changing the way we do the finances in the town of Groveland. It is just the timing of this significant change to the way the town operates that I think it's unfair to do it, given the current circumstances with the limited number of people that we have that can contribute. Thank you.
Make a motion to table?
All right, we have a motion table. We have a second motion table. Second. All right, no discussion of the motion table. All in favor of tabling Article 7, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Unanimous, it's tabled. Article 8, see if the town will vote to amend the Town of Groveland General Bylaws, Section 242, by adding a new revolving fund. The Groveland Day Revolving Fund is authorized by Chapter 44, Section 53E1/2 of Mass General Laws as set forth below. And further, to allow the Finance Director and Groveland Day Committee to expend funds not to exceed $30,000 during fiscal year 2021 from said account for expenses related to Groveland Day or take any other action relative thereto. It says reports will be provided to the annual town meeting detailing the total receipts and expenditures of this fund for the fiscal year. The article is submitted by the Finance Director. The Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. The Finance Board recommends favorable action. We have a motion. Second. A motion second for favorable action. Any discussion? All right. We'll take a vote. All in favor of Article 8, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. No. It is majority passes. Article 9. See if the town will vote to amend the Town of Groveland General Bylaws, Section 291, Personal Bylaw by deleting the strike-through language and adding the bolded language as follows. We have a whole bunch of stuff here. Does somebody want me to read this, or do you want to dispense with the reading?
Move to dispense with the reading.
Do we have a second for that? All right, all in favor of dispense with reading, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Great. Just a second. So this would allow the Board of Selectmen to make changes to personnel policy without a personnel advisory board. The personnel advisory board is once again defunct, and this change is necessary to maintain the policies for the non-contractual employees. The Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. Motion?
Favorable. Second.
All right, motion and second, favorable action. Discussion.
Debbie Webster. A little history on this. We had a personnel board that worked very hard, well over a year, to rewrite the personnel bylaws. They worked in conjunction with town employees, a lot of input, a lot of back and forth. They produced a document that was much needed for updating legal language and making some changes that were well past the time of being changed. They presented their document to the Board of Selectmen, who did not act on it. So the board members basically quit. I mean, if you spend a year and a plus of your life working on a document, I kind of had the same thing happen many, many years ago when I was on the Affordable Housing Committee. You get a little discouraged. There is still a very viable document out there that has not been acted upon by the Board of Selectmen. So my recommendation is, as an employee who really doesn't have any skin in the game, because I am leaving, but I'm just thinking of the future employees that are going to work for this town. I think it's important to have a stable workforce, not someone who's just going to come, learn the job, make mistakes here, and then move on. So, thank you.
Any other discussion? All right, we'll take a vote on Article 9. All in favor of Article 9, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. No. We'll try one more time. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. No. I was cracking up. People just yell a little louder. Why do I do it twice? You know. But let's count again. So same process here. You're going to keep your hand up in favor of this, and then count that first. So all in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. In favor, 23, opposed, 26, does not pass. Okay, Article 10, see if the town will vote to amend its general bylaws to delete Chapter 14 Stormwater Management and Land Disturbance Bylaw in its entirety and insert in its place a new Chapter 14 Stormwater Management and Land Disturbance in the form placed on file with the town clerk in Appendix C, or take any action relative thereto. Note, to recodify and to make required amendments for the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permits. The permit requires regulated communities to develop, modify its regulatory mechanism for post-construction stormwater management. A list of stormwater changes depicting the changes made to the existing stormwater bylaw to create a new stormwater bylaw is on file with the town clerk and included as an appendix to the warrant. And that is Appendix C, it says, if you want to take a peek at that. The Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action.
Move favorable.
All right, motion and second favorable action, discussion. All right, we're going to take a vote. All in favor of Article 10, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Unanimous. The next Article 11 requires a 2/3 majority. To see if the town will vote to amend the zoning bylaw section 2 definitions to delete the definition of home occupation in its entirety, to revise the definition of customary home occupation, delete the striking language, and add the language in bold as follows. Customary home occupation or home occupation. It says, the use of room or rooms in the dwelling and or accessory building of one lot by one or more persons residing thereon to conduct a business for financial gain in a manner subordinate to the principal use of the lot for residential purposes. A customary home occupation does not include business activities carried on in a residential dwelling pursuant to outside employment. B, an occupation or profession which is customarily carried on in a dwelling unit or a building or other structure accessory to dwelling unit and is carried on by a member of the family residing in the dwelling unit and is clearly incidental and secondary to the use of the dwelling for residential purposes and which conforms to the following additional conditions. The occupation or profession shall be carried on wholly within the principal building or within a building or other structure accessory thereto. No person outside the family shall be employed in the home occupation. There shall be no exterior display, no exterior sign except as permitted under Article 11, no exterior storage of materials, and no other exterior indication of home occupation or variation of the residential character of the principal building. No offensive noise, unsightliness, vibration, smoke, dust, odors, heat, or glare shall occur. Customer visits are made by appointment only, or take any action relative thereto. Requires a 2/3 majority. The article is submitted by the town planner. The Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. The Planning Board recommends favorable action.
Move favorable.
All right. Give it a second. So motion and second for favorable action. Discussion. Anyone? No? Okay. We're going to take a vote. All in favor of Article 11, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. It is a majority, 2/3. Okay. Okay. All right. So I guess we do need a number. So we're going to, I apologize. Those keeping track at home, that might be my second mistake of eating. Okay. So all in favor of Article 11, say aye. I'm sorry, raise your hand. And we'll be counted again. We need our counters. Sorry.
You're gonna have to ask for a raise.
All opposed, raise your hand. In favor is 53, opposed 8. It's a two-thirds majority passage. Article 12, to see if the town vote to amend the zoning bylaw to correct grammatical and spelling errors and make other housekeeping and non-substantive changes, including deletion of unused definitions. All is set forth in the list of zoning bylaw changes in Appendix D, in which document has been placed about the town clerk or taken any action relative to thereto, and requires a two-thirds majority. Article is submitted by the town planner. Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. Planning board recommends favorable action.
Move favorable.
We have a motion and a second for favorable action. Any discussion? All right, we'll take a vote. All in favor of Article 12, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. That is unanimous. Passes. Article 13, see the town vote to amend the zoning bylaw to renumber, recaption, arrange and sequence its various sections as Chapter 50 of the Town Code and the manner set forth in the final draft of the zoning bylaw of the town clerk dated February 2020, which document has been placed on file with the town clerk or take any other action relative thereto, requires a two-thirds majority, submitted by the town planner. The Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. The Planning Board recommends favorable action. Motion and second.
Move favorable.
We have a motion and second for favorable action. Any discussion? I will take a vote. All in favor of Article 13, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. And that is unanimous. Article 14, to see if the town vote to appropriate a sum of $20,000 from the Community Preservation Community General Reserve FY 2020 to be made available for the purpose of preparing a Parks and Recreation Operations Plan for the town of Groveland, to be managed by the Groveland Town Planner and Town Finance Director in the CPA category of Recreation, to be completed no later than June 30th, 2023. Or take any other action relative thereto. The article is submitted by the Community Preservation Committee. Note this project is to develop a plan to provide a review of existing operations of our fields and facilities and provide recommendations for improved efficiency, including an inventory of the field and athletic facilities currently used for programs and service in the community, a comprehensive list of the organizations utilizing the field facilities, a description of how the fields are being maintained, funding sources available for maintenance and improvements, field facility use scheduling, and steps for creating a parks and recreation division. The Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. The Finance Board recommends favorable action. The Preservation Committee recommends favorable action.
Move favorable. Second.
We have a motion and a second for favorable action. Any discussion? Yeah, just try the mic and see what happens.
Nick Hodges,
You know that.
35 Union Street. We had, at one time, I believe we still have a recreation department, and they had a plan, a master plan, which was never completed. Is there anyone here from the recreation department that could respond to that? Because they had a master plan, but it was never ever carried out completely. Anyone?
Anyone here?
Yes, I served on the Recreation Committee. I don't know if there's a... I'll try it. The last year... Yeah. For the last year, I've served on the Recreation Committee. I've never seen a plan that you're talking about in that time, a master plan. So I don't know what they've been working on in the past. In my time here, that discussion has never been brought up. Of course, most of our committee meetings have been derailed due to the COVID virus, and we're just basically getting back into it. So I don't know how to answer your question other than it's never been discussed in the year that I've been on the committee.
Any other discussion? All right, let's take a vote. Article 14. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no.
No.
I think it passed, but just take a quick vote by hand just to make sure. So just raise your hand. And counters again, please. Actually, you know what? Raise your hand if you're in favor. And, okay, opposed, raise your hand. Definitely more people who are in favor. So it passes majority. Article 15, to see if the town will vote to appropriate a sum of $25,000 from the Community Preservation General Reserve FY 2020 to be available for the purpose of establishing a new dog park at the Pines Recreation or similar location in town. The project is managed by the Groveland Dog Park Committee and the Town Finance Director in the CPA category of recreation and be completed no later than June 30, 2023, or take any action relative thereto. Article submitted by the Groveland Community Preservation Committee. Note, the project would provide 10% matching funds towards a potential $225,000 grant to design and build a new expanded dog park to be located at a desirable location in town such as the Pines Recreation Area to be approved by the Board of Selectmen. This dog park will enhance the town of Groveland by providing a dog park that promotes cleanliness, safety, and overall respect. The Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. The Finance Board recommends favorable action. The Community Preservation Committee recommends favorable action.
Move favorable.
We have a motion and second for favorable action, Article 15. Any discussion?
Nick Hodges, still residing at 35 Union Street. This is a really nice project, but it's not a high priority item for me. And as I go through the articles, I feel like we're at Target shopping. Not only shopping, we're buying everything. So I'm probably going to have to vote no on this, not because it's not a nice project, but it's not a high priority for what I think Groveland needs.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I'm Dan Vino. I'm a member of the Dog Park Committee. This is a chance for Groveland to take advantage of $225,000. We got to put up 10%, which is $25,000, and it's going to be professionally done by a professional contractor. There'll be plans, the whole bit, and the dog park is well used. The one that we have now down at the Pines is used basically every day of the year, whether it's freezing out or 95 degrees out. There's dog owners down there using it. So I think it would be money well spent. Be foolish to let that much money go by without taking advantage. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? Question is, do we have the grant?
We have the grant. We get approved. This is like our portion of it, 10% of it, so that we can push it the next part of the way. You know what I'm saying? If it doesn't go through, the money comes back to the town. But we are approved. We went through the whole board. We went through the front of the town, the whole bit. So it's a good opportunity to get something done that's
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I have it.
Yep, go ahead.
This is an opportunity. It's a very generous grant. I personally, I'm sorry that we have technical difficulties.
I'm going to talk right into it.
Did you like get these to work?
Yeah.
You have to take your mask off.
Yeah.
You don't get these grants every day. The issue is that the town has to make a commitment before the grant will go to the first step. So until the town commits that if the grant is applied, the town is serious about putting up $25,000 for the construction cost. This foundation pays for the design. The committee will have to submit a conceptual layout. So we can't move forward on this unless we at town meeting here approve the $25,000. If the grant falls through, there's no $25,000. So it's low risk. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay, let's take a vote. All in favor of Article 15, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. No. Majority passes. Article 16. To see if the town will vote to appropriate a sum of $24,277 from the Community Preservation Fund's Historic Reserve FY 2020 to be made available for the purpose of installing a historic document management system at Langley Adams Library. The project is managed by the Town Finance Director and the Langley Adams Library under the CPA category of historic preservation, completed no later than June 30th, 2023, by taking any action relative thereto. The article is submitted by the Community Preservation Committee. Note, the project would provide funds to preserve and protect the many historic documents, photos, and files, a public historic resource stored at the library. By connecting the library to town hall servers, the library will utilize the existing Laserfiche software used in town hall to scan, store, and make available to the public all these resources. The Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. The Finance Board recommends favorable action. The Community Preservation Committee recommends favorable action.
Move favorable. Second.
We have a motion and a second for favorable action. Any discussion? No? Okay, so we're going to take a vote. All in favor of Article 16, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. It is unanimous. Okay, Article 17, to see if the town will vote to appropriate a sum of $130,000 from the Community Preservation Fund's General Reserve FY 2020 to be made available for the purpose of constructing a recreational boathouse at the Pines Recreation Area for the establishment of a joint rowing program on the Merrimack River. The project is to be managed by the Town Finance Director under the CPA category of recreation and be completed no later than June 30th, 2023. Would take any other action relative thereto. The article was submitted by the Community Preservation Committee. Note, this project would provide funds to build a 70 by 25 foot boathouse to house rowing sculls. This is a joint project between the Town of Groveland, the City of Haverhill, and Haverhill High School and Pentucket Regional High School. Adding a rowing program at the Pines will allow opportunities for students with a program that does not currently exist. The rowing program will expand the use of Pines and attract non-residents to our town. Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. The Finance Board recommends favorable action. Community Preservation Committee recommends favorable action.
Move favorable action. Second.
We have a motion and a second for favorable action. Any discussion?
At one of our school committee meetings, we actually had discussed this. The Haverhill was wanting to bring in Pentucket students so that they could expand their program. However, they pulled out. So now what we're left with is $130,000 of Groveland taxpayer money to pay for Haverhill. I'll be voting against this particular article.
Any further discussion?
Kristen Potter, 8 Stonebridge. I guess my question is, are all the different parties involved in this all putting in $130,000, or are we funding the whole thing?
That's a good question.
Who can answer that for us?
So in our last discussion, the City of Haverhill and the Haverhill High School did not pull out of this arrangement. We were still working on the logistics. The plan was that the town would put up the $130,000 to build the boathouse, and Haverhill would provide the teachers the additional sculls and incorporate Pentucket into their program. So they will be contributing some amount of money, not the $130,000.
So who's going to be utilizing the boathouse, though? Is it like a 50, is it everyone basically has any use to it? So we're really footing most of the bill.
So we are putting most of the bill for the construction of it. The plan, overall plan would be to set up and running with a joint high school program. We would develop a community rowing program out of that location. So we were looking to expand it amongst the community members and not just make a high school rowing facility.
So I guess my still concern is like, what is Haverhill's use of this? If we're funding it, do we have full use of it and say of who uses it, or are they automatically? I guess I don't understand fully like the agreement in terms of who's.
Yeah, so the agreement will be if we move forward with building this, the Board of Selectmen and the City of Haverhill will come to an agreement, a written agreement about what the terms of this facility are. Currently, Haverhill uses the Pines as their rowing center. They house all their sculls down there. They use that establishment. The plan would be to incorporate Pentucket into that, have a place to store the sculls securely, and then expand the program to a community-based program.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Erin Merrill, 14 Summer Street. I have a question about that because Haverhill had come to Pentucket for last year and said if any students would like to join, you can. So my son was one of the children who did sign up. There was a bunch of students from from Pentucket who did sign up originally to be part of the rowing team. A couple weeks before the season was starting, they were informed that they were no longer invited. Haverhill had disinvited our students to participate in the program. So we had an agreement that Haverhill backed out of last minute. What is to stop them now from saying, okay, you guys build this. However, last minute, I'm sorry, we're no longer going to allow your students in like they've already done.
Does anyone want to speak to that?
Thank you. So we did not have a formal agreement last year, and that was part of the problem. Is there was miscommunication between the athletic director in Haverhill and the athletic director in Pawtucket. There was nothing formal. There was nothing in writing. We were all just working through the process to see if there was an interest, and then I'm not really sure what happened, to be honest with you. The deal was that should this article pass, we would not put one dime into the ground unless we had a formal agreement that the Board of Selectmen were in control of.
Is there a question?
I'm sorry, I'm just confused. So is there a current agreement? Because you just said that there has to be agreement for us to put the money in. So if we vote yes, are we going to build it without the agreement?
So last year when we were talking about this, there was nothing in writing to say what the stipulations of the agreement were. And then Dr. B got involved to make sure that those conversations went forward, and that's where we're at with this building of the boathouse down there, because they're using it anyways, and we want to be able to control what's happening down there. So if we want to build this, that's fine. We'll have control of it, and then we'll have the say of how the negotiations or the contract works. Any other questions?
Greg Lebrecht, Baldwin Terrace. I actually like it. What I don't understand is why we need Haverhill at all. Why can't we just spend $130,000, build our boathouse, let Pentucket and the community members use it, and if Haverhill wants to come pay us to be part of the program and things, that's fine. Right now, we need a football field occasionally, and Haverhill has no problem charging us big money to use that occasionally. So I mean, I don't know why we can't just build the house, build the boathouse, and take care of it later.
So that could be part of the discussion, but I don't know who we're going to have down there to teach. That could be part of the discussion. I don't know who we're going to have down there to actually teach crew and sculpt. I can't do that. But that part of the negotiation that you just listed is part of the things that we can talk about as a negotiation piece with Haverhill.
Well, then maybe you should come back after the agreement and we'll vote this in.
Please, again, hey, folks, okay, it's
My fault.
yes, it's not back and forth yet, except the mic if you have a question. Any further discussion? Okay, let's take a vote and see what happens here. So, all in favor of Article 17, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. No. Majority does not pass. Article 18, to see if the town vote to appropriate a sum of $17,000 from the Community Preservation Fund's General Reserve FY 2020 to be made available for the Groveland Community Trail supplemental funds to complete the current 100% design of the project. The project is to be managed by the Open Space and Trails Committee and the Town Finance Director on the CPA category of recreation and be completed no later than June 30th, 2023 or take any action relative thereto. Article submitted by the by the Community Preservation Committee. Note, the Groveland Community Trail project was previously funded for the design portion of the project using CPA funds. The trail will receive up to $4 million in matching funds from Mass DOT to build the trail. The project has been approved and construction is expected to begin in 2021 to 2022. These funds will be used to complete the 100% design plan for the trail that had to be extended due to the state timeline. The Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. The Finance Board recommends favorable action. The Community Preservation Committee recommends favorable action.
Move favorable.
Mr. Moderator?
Hang on a second, please. We have a motion for favorable. Did we have a second? Yeah, motion a second. All right, where did I hear somebody?
I'd like to make a motion to amend Article 18 by changing it to say appropriate a sum of $62,000 as approved by the Community Preservation Committee on May 28th, 2020.
So just from a legal standpoint, when we post an article, there is some leeway to make amendments, and especially to move, change amounts. Changing the amount lower is not an issue, correct? Changing it higher, as long as it's kind of in the ballpark, is not an issue. But from 17 to 62,000, I've been told is too great a leap, so we cannot make that.
Point of information, Mr. Moderator, the Community Preservation Committee can change the amount as long as it's voted at a regularly scheduled meeting, which this was.
I'm just saying that discussion posting the forum is that. Let's ask our town council to weigh in on the subject here.
Yeah, Mike, I understand what the CPC can do, but for purposes of town meeting, we have a notice issue here, and that is that if folks think it's going to be a $17,000 article, they might stay home. If they think it's going to be, or know it's going to be a $62,000 article, they might show up. That's the problem we have. That's the purpose behind within the scope of the article rule.
Could I just ask a question? Is there some guideline as to how much you could increase it, or is it just depends?
It's what I call a common sense rule. If it's within about 10 or 15%, and it wouldn't surprise somebody who didn't show up to learn that it was slightly higher. If it would surprise somebody, then in my opinion, it's probably not within the scope.
Thank you. So, I guess you just have to get that at some point. I'm not sure. But for our purposes tonight, we have a motion and a second to expend $17,000. Any further discussion on Article 18? Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, just a quick question. Mike, if we spend the 17,000, does it not get us where we need to be, so it's kind of like wasted spending it, or we need to just bring it back later?
We'll have to, I mean, $17,000 will help, but we're going to have to come back at another meeting and propose the remainder of the money.
Okay. Any further discussion? Article 18. Let's take a vote. All in favor of Article 18, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. No. Majority passes. Article 19, to see if the town vote to appropriate a sum of $325,000 from the Community Preservation Fund's General Reserve FY 2020 to be made available for the Bagnell School All-Inclusive Playground. The project is to be managed by the town director and the Bagnell School under the CPA category of recreation, be completed no later than June 30th, 2023, or take any action relative thereto. Article submitted by the Community Preservation Committee. Note, the Bagnell School Playground project includes the purchase and installation of the new ADA-certified all-inclusive playground at the Dr. Elmer S. Bagnell School. The design includes playground equipment that is age-appropriate for pre-K through grade 6, handicapped accessible equipment, and rubber ground surface for complete all-inclusive playground access. The current playground at the school is outdated and run down. There are elements of the structure that do not meet today's safety or accessibility requirements. A new playground would represent pride in our town and investment in our community for all our children. The Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. The Finance Board recommends favorable action. The Community Preservation Committee recommends favorable action.
Move favorable.
We have a motion and a second for favorable action. Do we have any discussion? I have a question. Are the monkey bars still out there from 100 years ago? Are they? Yeah. Okay. All right. So, no discussion. Article 19. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Majority passes. Article 20, to see if the town will vote to appropriate or reserve from Community Preservation Fund fiscal year 2021 estimated annual revenues the amounts recommended by the Community Preservation Committee for committee administrative expenses, debt service, community preservation projects, and other expenses, with each item to be considered a separate appropriation. Purpose appropriations committee expenses $20,000, reserves, open space $50,000, historic resources $50,000, community housing $50,000, or take any other action relative thereto. The article is submitted by the Community Preservation Committee. Board of Selectmen recommends favorable action. The Finance Board recommends favorable action. The Community Preservation Committee recommends favorable action. Motion and second, please.
Move favorable.
Motion and second for favorable action. Article 20, any discussion? All right, let's take a vote. All in favor of Article 20, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. It is unanimous. Article 21, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the amount of $370,440 to fund the FY21 capital improvement plan, all as described in the chart below, including all costs incidental and related hereto, or take any other action relative thereto. I think everyone can see that we have. Let's just take a second and look at those amounts. We have bagging improvements, building improvements, cemetery department, pickup truck, facilities, some municipal building improvements, highway department, police department. So there's a bunch of figures there. Each item above will be considered a separate appropriation. The budget amount may be spent only for the stated purpose, submitted by the Board of Selectmen acting as the Capital Improvement Committee. Note, the above projects were recommended for funding in FY 2021 by the Board of Selectmen acting as the Capital Improvement Committee. Refer to Appendix A for the complete 5-year CIC report.
Move favorable?
Yeah, it just says items not recommended for funding, so that we aren't asking for money there. Or is that? That's just information. So the Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. The Finance Board recommends favorable action.
Move favorable?
We have a motion and a second for favorable action. Any discussion? Step to the mic, please.
Just two quick questions. Originally, I was going to vote no on the building improvements, but I found out that that's for asbestos, getting rid of asbestos. So I will be voting in favor of that. The police department, the replacement of the line cruiser, what is the mileage on the car that's being replaced? Yes, please.
Dwight McDonald, 10 Balch Ave. The mileage on the cruiser that's going to be replaced is somewhere in the high 90s. I don't have the exact. We just had a cruiser last year went over 100. That's just the mileage, the odometer mileage. All these cruisers have an engine hour count too. The engine hours, usually when you add the engine hours to the odometer miles, the engine has over 300,000 miles on it. Ford has a 33 miles per hour. So every hour the cruiser engine is running, it's worth 33 miles worth of travel. So they get old quick. This is one of the 5-year cars. So when we get rid of it, it'll be 5 years old. It's ready. It costs a lot. The maintenance in the 5th year of the car is a lot of money.
Thank you. I'll vote in favor of that.
Okay. All right, let's take a vote on Article 21. All in favor of Article 21, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. It is unanimous. Article 22. See if the town will vote to accept a sum of $40,000 from the Groveland Municipal Electric Department operation account for two town estimated receipts reduce the tax rate for 12 months ending June 30th, 2021, or take any other action relative thereto. Article submitted by the Finance Director. The Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. The Finance Board recommends favorable action.
Move favorable.
We have a motion and a second favorable action. Any discussion? All right, let's take a vote on Article 22. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. It is unanimous. Article 23, to see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $13,560 from the Conservation Commission fees account to the Conservation Commission salary part-time account for fiscal year 2021 for the purposes of funding the conservation agent position or take any other action relative thereto. Article submitted by the Conservation Commission. Note, this article transfers funds from fees collected by the Commission to the Commission salary account. The Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. The Finance Board recommends favorable action.
Move favorable. Second.
We have a motion and a second for favorable action. Any discussion? All right, let's take a vote on Article 23. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Unanimous. Article 24. See if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $1,846 from the Conservation Commission fees account to the Conservation Commission expenses account for fiscal year 2021 for the purposes of costs related to commission operating costs or take any other action relative thereto. Article submitted by the Conservation Commission. Note, this article transfers funds from fees collected by the Commission to the Commission services account. The Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. The Finance Board recommends favorable action.
Move favorable.
We have a motion and a second for favorable action. Any discussion? All right. Let's take a vote on Article 24. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. It's unanimous. Is that a bank robber or is that our state senator? Can't tell. Okay. I believe our State Senator Bruce Tarr, hi Bruce, entered the building. All right. Article 25, to see if the town will vote pursuant to the provisions of general laws, Chapter 44, Section 53.5, to set the annual spending limits for the following 7 revolving accounts established in the general bylaws for the fiscal year 2021, or take any action relative thereto. Revolving fund, BC Memorial Park is $130,000, Pines Boat Ramp $25,000, Zoning Board of Appeals $15,000, Magnum Summer Program $250,000, Council on Aging $15,000, Fire Department CPR class $6,000, Pines Maintenance $50,000. This article was submitted by the Finance Director. Reports on the revolving funds may be found in Appendix B. Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. The Finance Board recommends favorable action.
Move favorable. Second.
We have a motion and a second for favorable action. Any discussion on Article 25? All right, let's take a vote. All in favor of Article 25, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Unanimous. Article 26, see if the town will vote to accept the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53F.
Move to dispense with the reading.
Do we have a second on that motion? All in favor of dispensing with the reading, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. All right, note, accepting this Mass General Law is a requirement to keep and utilize cable access fees separate from the general fund. The Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. The Finance Board recommends favorable action.
Move
Motion and a second.
favorable.
Motion and a second favorable action. Any discussion? Let's take a vote. All in favor of Article 26, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. It's unanimous. Article 27, to see the town vote to transfer the sum of $50,000 from the overlay surplus account for the purpose of funding the town's operating budget for fiscal year 2021, or take any other action relative thereto. The article is submitted by the Finance Director. Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. The Finance Board recommends favorable action.
Move favorable.
We have a motion and a second for favorable action. Any discussion? We'll take a vote on Article 27. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Passes unanimous. Article 28, to see if the town will vote to transfer $85,000 from fiscal year 2019 town free cash for the purpose of funding the town's operational budget for fiscal year 2021, or take any other action relative thereto. Article submitted by the Finance Director. Note, this would cover the cost of the other post-employment benefits FY21 trust fund appropriation. The Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. The Finance Board recommends favorable action.
Move favorable. Second.
We have a motion and a second for favorable action. Any discussion? All right, take a vote on Article 28. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Passes unanimous. Article 29, to see if the town will vote to transfer $100,000 from the fiscal year 2019 town free cash and stabilization fund account, or take any other action relative thereto. The article is submitted by the Finance Director. Note, this article would add to our rainy day fund and continue to build up our reserves. The Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. The Finance Board recommends favorable action.
Move favorable.
We have a motion and a second for favorable action. Any discussion? All right, we'll take a vote on Article 29. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. It is unanimous. Article 30, to see if the town will vote to transfer $75,000 from the fiscal year 2019 town free cash to the capital stabilization fund account, or take any other action relative thereto. The article is submitted by the Finance Director. Note, this article would add to our reserve for capital-related projects for the purchase or acquisition of capital equipment or payment of debt service related thereto. The Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. The Finance Board recommends favorable action.
Move favorable. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Favorable action. Any discussion? Take a vote on Article 30. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Passes unanimous. Great. Article 31. To see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $60,000 from fiscal year 2019 town free cash to the MS4 stormwater permit account for the purpose of funding engineering and consulting services for the development of an application for a national pollutant discharge elimination system, MS4 stormwater permit, and for implementing the MS4 permit requirements, or take any other action relative thereto. The article is submitted by the Finance Director. Note, the United States Environmental Protection Agency has released requirements for national pollutant discharge elimination system compliance. The purpose of this funding is to engage an engineering firm to develop the town's MS4 permit application. This is year 3 of a 5-year program. The Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. The Finance Board recommends favorable action.
Move favorable. Second.
We have a motion and a second for favorable action. Any discussion? Take a vote on Article 31. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. It is unanimous. Article 32, to see if the town will vote to transfer $15,000 from the fiscal year 2019 town free cash to the account for repairs to be done on the Highway Department's 8-ton truck, including all costs incidental and related thereto, or take any other action relative thereto. The article is submitted by the Finance Director. Note, this article will provide funds to overhaul and extend the life of the Highway Department's 8-ton truck. The Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. The Finance Board recommends favorable action.
Move favorable.
Motion and second for favorable action. Any discussion? Take a vote on Article 32. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Unanimous. Just bear with me a second. Get this as simple as well. Ready to come. It's allergy season. Okay, Article 33. See if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $37,100 from the fiscal 2019 Water Enterprise Department retained earnings for the purchase and equipping of an F-350 4x4 utility truck with plow. We're taking any action relative thereto. The Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. The Finance Board recommends favorable action. The Water and Sewer Commissioners recommend favorable action.
Move favorable. Second.
We have a motion and a second for favorable action. Any discussion?
I'd like to question Article 33 and 34. I believe the Water and Sewer Department is still officed in the Town Hall. They have not made that move yet. And I believe the town does the mowing. Does the town also do the plowing? And if that's true, why are they going to need a truck and a plow for both departments?
Anybody answer that question for us?
Sewer, water, and sewer commission.
Jim Sheehan, Groveland Water and Sewer. Part of it is funded 70% through the Water Department and 30% through the Sewer Department, because it goes through both. We still have to maintain our own water tower and our own buildings, and occasionally help the town plow as well. So. Melissa?
Right in there. You gotta hold it.
I don't want to hold it. Where were we? Oh, yeah. So anyways, it represents 80% water, 75% water, and 25% sewer. And that's how it gets appropriated for the truck to be used in both the water and sewer department, because they're separate identities. It is typically used to plow the highway, the tank, our properties, and then we assist the town and help plow the town.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, let's take a vote. All in favor of Article 33, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no.
No.
Majority passes. Article 34, to see if the town vote to transfer the sum of $15,900 from the fiscal 2019 sewer enterprise department retained earnings for purchase and equipping a F-350 4x4 utility truck with plow, or take any other action relative thereto. The Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. The Finance Board recommends favorable action. The Water and Sewer Commissioners recommend favorable action.
Move favorable.
Motion and second for favorable action. Any more discussion? Let's take a vote. All in favor of Article 34, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no.
No.
Majority passes. Article 35, to see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $110,000 from the fiscal 2019 Water Enterprise Department retained earnings to be used for the future well development or take any other action relative thereto. The Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. Finance Board recommends favorable action. The Water and Sewer Commissioners recommend favorable action. Motion and second, please.
Move favorable.
We have a motion and second for favorable action. Any discussion? No? Okay, we're going to take a vote. All in favor of Article 35, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Unanimous, passes. Article 36, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,113,923.68 for the use of the Water Department. Said sum to be offset by FY 2021 Water Department revenue or take any other action relative thereto. So just as a housekeeping note here, we are voting on the right-hand column where it says Finance Board recommends. And that total at the bottom you can see is the same figure that is spelled out above. The article is submitted by the Water and Sewer Commissioners. The Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. The Finance Board recommends favorable action.
Move favorable.
We have a motion and a second for favorable action. Any discussion?
Very quickly, why did the Board of Selectmen, we know what the Water Sewer Department requested, why did they add on more?
Could somebody answer that for us, please? I've been told it's a 2% cost of living adjustment.
Right.
Any further discussion? Let's take a vote. All in favor of Article 36, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. It is unanimous. Article 37, see if the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $637,364.63 for the use of the sewer department. Said sum to be offset by FY 2021 sewer department revenue or take any other action relative thereto. Once again, right-hand side, Finance Board recommends. Total is the same as listed above. The article submitted by Water and Sewer Commissioners. The Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. Finance Board recommends favorable action.
Move favorable.
We have a motion and a second for favorable action. Any discussion? Take a vote. All in favor of Article 37, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Unanimous. All right. Article 38. And to see the town vote to raise the following sums to defray town charges for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2021, make appropriations therefore, or take any other action relative thereto. And again, we are voting on the Finance Board recommends amount. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down and read the heading on each line item. If somebody wants to discuss the figure that is associated with that, yell out hold. And when we get to the end, we'll go back and discuss those. So, under General Government, Moderator, stipend. Selectmen stipend. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to read the main title when we get further. So, Moderator. Selectmen. Finance Department. Town Accountant. Board of Assessors. Town Council. Technology. Town Clerk. Conservation Commission. Planning. Zoning Board of Appeals. Municipal Buildings. Insurance. Under Public Safety, Police Department. Parking Clerk. Fire Department. Building Department. Emergency Management. Education. Public Works. Tree Warden. Highways. Rubbish Collection. Cemetery. Under Human Services, Board of Health. Council on Aging. Veterans. Library. Just a second. Debt service. Hold on. Debt service. Is that what I heard? Unclassified. Okay, so we just had two holds, is that correct? First one was Board of Assessors. Whoever held, just get up and let's hear what you have to say.
Hi, Debbie Webster again, 45 Wood Street. I did submit my budget this year. All the employees got a 2% raise, and I understand I am leaving. But if you look at all the line items for salary, the only one that didn't get it was the assessor's manager's salary. Given the circumstances of 2020, I do have every intention as of this date to retire. But who knows what tomorrow will bring, as we can all see. So given that the future is uncertain, I would like to amend the article to reflect a 2% raise on my salary line item and reduce the number for the training, which I had requested originally 5,000. So basically the total would not change. It's just shifting the amount, and I'll give you, pardon me, let me get the numbers. So what it would be is under assessor's manager salary would be changed to 54,575, which is a 2% raise that all the other employees got. And then the assessor's manager crossover would be reduced to 54,25, which the total of 61,500 would stay the same. So
You have that written down, Debbie?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So she's offering up an amendment. In order for us to actually consider that, we need a motion. So are you making a motion to approve that? You're making a motion for that amendment? Okay.
Motion to amend.
Okay, and do we have a second for that motion? Okay, so we can have some discussion now. Down here?
So, all the employees were granted a 2% cost of living adjustment in their salaries. And that held true for the assessor's office also, but with the information we had at budget time, we were informed that the assessor would be retiring mid-year. So the amount, therefore we left the line item on the assessing manager's salary the same, knowing that given the time of the informed retirement, there would be enough money in this line item to pay for that department's budget for the year. So it doesn't mean that she doesn't get a 2% cost of living raise. She would get that for as long as she's here. But given that she's planning to retire, we didn't want to overfund that line item. If she decides to say we can do a transfer after the fact to make sure that there's enough money in that line item, but it wasn't that we weren't giving a raise to only that department. It was based on the anticipation of her retirement, that's all.
I understand that that was the premise, but given the circumstances of 2020, I have not officially put in my papers to retire. I went before the finance board as a courtesy to give you as much notice, given the importance of the office. If I end up staying, then it is not reflected correctly. So I just think it doesn't matter, doesn't change the end numbers. And if you find, I think you're going to find that when you go to hire someone, you may end up paying them more. So I don't think it's going to be a number that you're going to be reduced. So that being said, I have not officially put in my retirement papers. I do intend, as of today, to retire. But like I said, given the uncertainty of the circumstances of this year, I don't know what's happening tomorrow.
Thank you, Kathy.
Is that on? Is it on now? Still not on. I've used the button, both buttons.
have no idea what else to do. Thank you. Okay, thank you so much. Kathy Kester, Board of Selectmen. So, it's hot. We've all been cooped up for a long time, so I'll be very brief and succinct on this. This is a departmental budget. The staff in this department are getting their 2% raise, just like every other non-contractual employee. Best information we have at this time is that there is a retirement in the department, so we created a line item for the crossover, and we left the salary alone, which is something we typically do when we have a retirement. If anything changes, I promise you 100% that the employee will get their full 2%. But at this point, the information we have, which was announced at the start of this meeting, we're all clapped for it, was that we have three retirements this year. So I feel like we should just vote this budget as it's submitted and as it's been reviewed, and then we'll deal with whatever changes, when that information is solid. Thank you.
The changes that were made to my submitted budget, which submitted isn't even on there, okay? No one came to me telling me about the change or explaining change. I did not see it until the town meeting warrant was posted, which is typical. I met with the finance board, got zero feedback. So I have a motion to.
Yeah, we have a motion second. If there's any further discussion, we'll take a vote on the amendment right now is just to change that figure from, for a second, from 53,505 to 54,575. So all in favor of making that change, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no.
No.
Majority passes. And that is, all that means that figure just passed, so when we get to the end, we're going to vote it as part of the whole omnibus. The other, what's that?
You have to reduce the crossover. So the total doesn't change.
Hang on just a second, folks. Okay, so I apologize. So it is written down. So to amend the assessment manager salary to 54,575, and the assessment manager crossover 5,425. Total salaries no change, 61,500. So that was the. There's just one confusion. That was the intent. That was the amendment. The motion. That amendment. People feel comfortable with that? We want to revote it. Good. Okay. So that's what we just voted, to change those two figures. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. I can actually, are you speaking to the next hold? Is that?
This is a question about the public safety item.
Did you want to hold something about public safety if I read it the first time?
Have we gone by it? Is that what you're saying?
We did. But we certainly, it's okay. That's before the other hold, so go ahead.
Okay. I just noticed that training. Yes, I'm Rick Silverman from the River Pines Drive. I just noticed that the line item for training seems rather minuscule, given what's going on in the country today and all the problems we've had, all the stresses that we put on our police as well. I just wonder if that's a sufficient amount. So I'd like someone to speak to that. I know these things are drawn up in advance, so perhaps that was a long time ago that number was come up with, but I'd appreciate if someone.
Okay, so the point is that under Public Safety Police Department training, he feels that figure, in light of what's going on in our society today, may be low. Does somebody from the police department wish to speak to that, or from the Board of Selectmen Finance?
Michael Wood, 8 School Street. I'm the liaison for the police department, and I talk with Jeff constantly about community policing, and that is fully funded. So I'm not sure what additional question he has. I'm sure Dwight can add more to that.
Go ahead.
because we're being accused of having it involved, so that's a new one. Hello? All right. So the training so far has been sufficient. There's the in-service police academy for full-time and reserve police officers. It's really a pretty decent deal. It's certainly not as expensive as some other states, so the training amount that's in the budget is actually pretty sufficient.
Thank you. Any other questions on that? Let's move on to the next hold was under debt service. Who wanted to speak to that?
Debbie Webster again. It's my understanding we're paying the first year on the school bond in fiscal 21, or has that changed? Yeah, first. Okay. It's in the Pentucket budget? Okay, so the debt service is not been increased from fiscal 20 to 21? Where? Okay, but in the front page, it shows debt of being 1.1 million. The debt on the front page shows a total budget of 19 million with the debt in the front where you summarize. Okay, but so is that accounted for within the? Okay, I just wanted to make sure because the numbers aren't jiving with the 18 million to the 19 million. I just want to make sure we're not underfunding.
Okay, unless I'm mistaken, those were the only holds. So we voted an amended amount for the one line item. So all in favor of Article 38 as amended, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. It's unanimous. Passes. Article 39, to see if the town vote to fix the salary and compensation of all elected and appointed officers of the town for the 12 months ending June 30, 2021. Fixing of salaries according to Article number 36, 38 above, or taking into action relative thereto. The article is submitted by the Finance Board. The Board of Selectmen recommend favorable action. The Finance Board recommends favorable action. A motion and second, please.
Move favorable.
A motion and second favorable action. Any discussion? All in favor of Article 39, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. It's unanimous. Passes. The annual town election happened last week. And again, I believe that's it. So we need a motion to dissolve town meeting.
Motion to dissolve town meeting. Second.
All in favor of dissolving town meeting, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Passes. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.